Did you ever think we'd tell this story?
No, I didn't think it would come out.
Yeah, this is the story of how we broke up. I don't know who was more heartbroken.
It was me. It was definitely me.
I had to call it quits, babe. He used to pay attention to me like a lot. But when his friends were around, it wasn't going to work. In my mind, I was just like, me and this guy, we're from different places. This is happening now. I just didn't see a future.
Right.
Yeah, I just didn't see a future.
But I did. Hello, everyone. I'm Josh.
And I'm Hope.
And we are Beyond Borders.
Yay! And welcome back to our channel.
Yeah, thank you. I'm an American living here in South Africa. She's a South African living here in South Africa. So that's kind of our story, is that I moved over here, left my family, my dog, everything, and we're starting a life here in South Africa. So this is our story.
Okay, so we tell them what happened
Yeah.
and how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be telling the story, and then you can also tell the story as well.
Okay.
Because how well you remember it.
Sounds good.
So I met this beautiful, wonderful guy, and we started dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went on a couple of dates, and things are going well. And I'm just like, oh my God, he's such a nice guy. And when I saw him the first time, I was like, oh, he's actually cute. What did you think when you saw me?
I thought she's actually cute.
See
No,
why I broke up with him?
I knew she was cute. And I was like, there she is. There's cute.
Yeah, but that's not the reason why I broke up with him. So we started hanging out,
Yeah.
right, by the cabin.
Right. I was living in like a cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere in southern Illinois. And she was going to southern Illinois, Carbondale.
Yeah. So I was in school and he was enjoying his life.
I was like ultra focused on rock climbing, which might sound weird to a lot of people, but that's all I did every day. I ate to climb, I hung out with climbers, I went climbing almost every day. So that's what I was doing in southern Illinois. There's a lot of outdoor rock climbing there, and that's what I was doing.
So he's pitching the rock climbing right now. See,
Yeah.
in the beginning, I was like, we're so different already.
Mm-hmm.
So I also feel like okay, let me tell the story first, and I'll
Okay.
say the reasons why I felt like we should break up. So we started hanging out, and he had his friends coming over a lot.
Rock climbers.
Rock climbers, yeah. So almost all the time.
Almost every weekend.
Yes.
Sometimes during the week, but especially every weekend I had maybe 3 to 5 guys over all climbing.
Yes. So for the first few weeks of our dating life, it wasn't just us.
No.
There were always other people there. So I was getting to know him, but I was getting to know him and who he hangs out with, or who he climbs with, or, whatever, his friends. So already I was sort of feeling like, wow, this is kind of a lot. Because obviously imagine you're like meeting me for the first time, and
Yeah.
every time you come to my place, I'm like playing or studying with all these people, whatever, we're doing a hobby.
I'll say it was pretty fair to say that at the very beginning of our relationship, my priority was my sport. I was super into the climbing, and I don't want to say she was like a back thought, but
You
it
can
kinda,
say it. You can say I was number 2.
At that point, I was just super focused on that, and I was excited to meet people in the area, but like I wasn't committed to her yet. I was still more committed to the sport at the time.
Yeah, and I felt it.
Yeah.
But he was still a nice guy. He still really, you know what? The funny thing is, I remember like he used to really pay attention to me, and I feel like I never told you this before. Like he used to pay attention to me like a lot. And then, but when his friends were around, Josh is that person. He's like making everybody happy, right?
Yeah.
Like taking care of everyone. So when it was just me and you were like very attentive and an aunt. And then when his friends came, I was just like one of their friends.
Yeah, I could see that. I treated everyone the same. I was the guy with like the house.
Yeah.
So people were driving 2 hours to come stay with me. So I felt a little bit responsible for like everyone having a good time, making sure everyone was fed and stuff like that. We're all exercising like crazy. We're hiking a lot. So I was cooking food for everyone, but I definitely was in that, like, I wanted to make sure everyone there was having a good time because everyone was there because of me. I had invited everyone. I invited all my friends. I invited her. So I can definitely see how my attention was split in between making sure everyone was having a good time and would want to come back because that was important to me. So yeah, that's what was happening. I was living out in the middle of nowhere, pretty much running like this climbing camp with all my friends, and
Yeah.
I had just met her. We were probably like 2 or 3 weeks in.
So I wasn't that important yet.
Yeah, she hadn't reached the top of the priority list yet. I think that's fair.
Yeah, and then, oh yeah, I was just saying, I remember like when your friends came one time and they came with like their partners. I don't know how many did, I forgot. But like they were helping because it's like hiking, right? And it's like hard to hike because I think it had rained or something or snowed. And they were helping their girlfriends to like hike. Not this guy.
I wasn't, I didn't know.
You were not. I don't think I've told you this before. And I was just like, wow, this guy is just like. And then there was a time I was struggling, and then you were like, oh, you went, and then your friend like started helping me, and you're like, oh, let me help you. Or you said, I don't know, I'm sorry you're struggling or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when you leave me behind, like so much. And he just didn't get it. He was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm having fun.
Yeah, I definitely had like, I had been down there for like 2 months at this point, and
Yeah.
I was doing the hike every single day. I was also like the leader of the pack.
Yeah.
Not that that's an excuse,
It doesn't matter.
but I feel like I was probably trying to act tough, maybe.
Yes, but that's the thing, babe. Like obviously, when people meet, there's always things that are happening in their lives, right? Like it's just that with you and I, we were in the same space at the same time. So it's almost like we met like at work,
Yeah.
where it's just like, oh, I'm trying to get to the top, and you know,
Right.
I'm not always gonna pay attention to you. Da, 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 da. Cool. Anyway, he was supposed to come pick me up on Sunday, and he was meant to drop me off on Monday.
Right.
Yes, but his friend was also coming, so he had to somewhat choose between me and his friend.
And I probably told her my friends were not coming because at that point nobody was. Everyone had bailed out for that weekend, and I had told Hope I'd come get her Sunday and
Yes.
bring her back Monday.
And I was ready. You know when you're like, you just started a new relationship and all the feels are happening and you have a crush on this guy, even though he's like your boyfriend or whatever, but you're just like, hey, I'm gonna see him today. And you clean and you cook and you do everything because you're ready. Well, not cook, but anyway, because you're ready, like you get ready, you dress up, ha ha ha, my boyfriend is coming to get me. But your boyfriend has to pick between you and his friend. And who did you pick, my baby?
I think I picked my friend. Yeah.
Newsflash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think my friend had told me, hey, I changed my mind, I'm gonna come down Sunday. And I was like really wanting someone to climb with. And I just felt like if I was to drive, to go to her, to stay there for a little bit, to come back, and then do that again on Monday morning, I was gonna end up leaving him just sitting by himself for like hours and hours. And I just felt bad about that. I honestly was not trying to like, oh, I'd rather hang out. I just didn't want to put anybody out. And I felt like, and I was wrong about this,
Yes.
that our plans weren't that like concrete. I don't know why. I felt like this was the easier one. Because I could have told my friend, hey, don't come, I made plans. But
Our plans were hanging out together
Yeah.
at your.
yeah, I made the wrong decision. I
Yes.
definitely did. I should have told my friend, hey, bugger off this weekend. I got plans already.
Yes, I got plans with my lady. But anyway, that's not. And I broke up with him. But that's not the reason I broke up with him.
Okay.
Just is like I'm hearing this for the first time. The reason I broke up with you was because you had to tell me what was happening. And when he laid out the story to me, it didn't make sense, you know. So I think he didn't say, hey, don't come. And I think it was hard for you to tell me that because
Yeah.
how do you tell somebody, I'm not gonna come pick you up because I'm gonna hang out with my friend,
Right.
He didn't straight up tell me that. And he said, no, I cannot come pick you up because it's gonna be too early in the morning to, I don't know, take you back or something like that. And I'm like, we have done this 3 times already, so that is not the reason, you know. So he just didn't tell me the real reason of why he wasn't coming to pick me up. And I'm like, that is not true. And I don't know, I just felt so like he's, you know, when they say you are undermining my intelligence, because I'm like, dude, you are not gonna think that I'll believe that. Like,
Right.
tell me the truth. And I'm like, that is not the truth. You know, you're not telling me the truth. So I'm not about to do this.
Yep, I blew it. I made a mistake.
Yeah. And then me being me, I'm sort of like an overthinker, and I'm also like an over analyzer, because I'm like, now he's gonna, if he's not telling me the truth about coming to pick me up, he's not gonna tell me the truth about the kids. He's not gonna tell me the truth about, like, you know, his whereabouts. He's not gonna, I just blew it up over. And what did I do? Do you remember what I did?
I think you called me and
Yeah.
said we need to take a break.
Yeah.
And I was like, to me, I hadn't done anything. Like,
Yeah.
I had convinced myself that this was okay.
Yeah.
That I had said, you know, that our plans weren't that concrete, that she half knew my friends might come. I don't really remember the details, but I remember when she said we need to take a break, I was like stunned. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, but I told you, I didn't just say we need to take a break. I said, hey, I don't think you're telling me the truth. And I was like, I don't think that's okay, that you're not telling me exactly the truth. Like, even though you're trying to protect me or whatever, I feel like you should have just told me. Like,
Right.
this is the reason why I'm not coming to pick you
Right.
up, and we're not doing this, you know?
I think had I just said, hey, one of my buddies last minute said he's
Yeah.
coming, I don't want to leave him at the cabin for 5 hours.
Yes.
You know, it would have been way better. But
I think so. I would have been heartbroken,
Yeah.
obviously, because I was still gonna be like, and who knows, maybe I would have still broken up with you because I am cuckoos in the head. Yeah, I've gotten better about that, but maybe I would. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, who
But
knows?
anyway, I feel like that would have been like, oh, he's honest, because there's been so many times where you've been like really honest with me since then and before then, where I was like, oh my God, I've never actually met somebody tell me this.
Yeah.
You know, I've never had somebody just be so honest with me. So I know I appreciated you telling me stuff. So even though it hurts sometimes, I appreciated you telling me. So anyway, I said, we need a break. We're not gonna talk until I am ready to talk. So that's what I told him. And yeah, that's how it went. So you tell me what went down from your side, and then I'll tell you like how it went down from my side with my family, my friends on this side.
yeah, so I mean, I was kind of just like alone dealing with it because I was down at this cabin and I was really only going on weekends, but I had full blown moved in 24/7. I wasn't leaving anymore unless I had to go back for some reason. But I had moved into this cabin. I was now staying there all week, all weekend, doing a lot of climbing, but I was by myself for the most part because my friends all had jobs back in St. Louis, so they could only come on weekends if they could come at all. And I was also running like this chicken factory. So I was hatching eggs. I had babies in the basement. I had teenagers outside. I had adults in the main chicken coop. So I remember getting off the phone with her after we had this conversation and just like staring at my baby chicks and being like, I blew it, guys. I blew it. You know, like I messed this up. I didn't think I blew it, but you know, it was like all coming to me that I was like, not treating her as the number one. In my idea, my head, we were like freshly dating and it was really like, you know, kind of casual still. And this was the message like, hey, you're either going to take this seriously or you're not going to do this.
Right.
And I mean, I had that whole week where none of my friends were free. So it was just me sitting at this cabin by myself thinking of all the mistakes I made. And after thinking about it, I was totally wrong. You know, she was completely right. I can't date someone casually like this. I have to take it seriously. And I made a change after that. You know, I still focused on climbing for a long time after that. I honestly didn't stop climbing a lot until COVID like derailed things.
Right.
So it wasn't like I had to throw out everything I was doing. I just had to be serious and committed to her while I was being serious with something else, which is easy. You know, I could do that.
And I wasn't saying like don't.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying like stop climbing.
Yeah. And I want to make that clear. She never said like, I don't like your friends being over. I don't want you to climb. She was like, you just can't lie to me about what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, which makes perfect sense. I really do think that if I had been completely honest in that moment, this wouldn't have happened. I'm sure we still would have had hiccups, and at some point I would have said, hey, I need to take this seriously.
Yeah.
And this was a good opportunity for me to see like, all right, it's serious time. But I genuinely know that I made a mistake there. I shouldn't have tried to come up with a story.
Yeah, and then on my side, so, I mean, I was heartbroken too, honestly, because I was like, oh, I like him, but, you know, I gotta do what's right. And for me, I feel like the first few months are the times to break up, okay? If you see something that's like a miss, or you're like, he's not committed the way I want him to be committed, don't be like, 2 years down the line, he's gonna commit. No, you know, that's the time to break up with this guy. Maybe you guys are not, you know, you don't vibe the same way. So for me, I'm like, I'm gonna break it off. I always say, like, once I get over the 2-year mark, that's like the deciding factor. It's either we together for a long time after that, or in 2 years we're breaking up. Because I've already seen, like, is this really what I want, or I cannot deal with this.
Yeah.
So I even used to tell him, I'm like, dude, if you make it over the 2 years mark, we fine.
You know the kind of pressure that is at 1 year, 9 months, and she's like, just so you know, at 2 years, it's, or we're getting
I told him, like,
Yeah,
2
she
years
would
is
tell
the
me that a
deciding
lot.
factor.
You have to set your standards early.
True.
You know, because if you don't, if she would have told me, oh, that's fine,
Yeah.
you know, I could have thought, all right, well, if something like this happens again, I can do the same kind of strategy
True.
where I tell you something to appease you,
Yeah.
and then I do what I wanted to do kind of like
True.
in secret.
Yeah.
So setting your standards early, even if it's something small, like just as like an example, maybe someone leaves the dishes in the sink for 2 days before they wash them, and so you're not saying no, so you're like non-verbally saying yes.
Yes.
So if you allow someone just to kind of create that, you know, plane that they're going to be on, and you don't ever say it, they're going to be like, well, you let me do that. I
Yeah.
thought it was fine.
Yeah.
You know. So I think talking about these things early is important. Maybe you don't have to go as far as like break up, but you know, it's good to set your standards early. That's what I wanted to say.
Right. Okay, so on my side, so I now tell my friends, you know, and then I tell my therapist as well, because at that point I was going through therapy. So I tell my therapist and I'm like, this is what happened. I cannot believe he did this. And my therapist is like, whoa. It's really not as serious as you're making it seem to be. But she also said, if you should tell him that this is a problem, and if this continues, it could actually be like a bigger problem. So just communicate and see how you feel. But she was like, I don't think this is, I mean, obviously, you know, therapists don't tell you like you made the wrong decision or whatever. But she was like, just go think about whether this is breakup worthy, or if this is something that you guys can talk about and get through. So, you know, I told myself I was going to give myself 3 days to think about it and not talk to him. And at the same time, I'm like, he's going to have 3 days to think about what he did. And when we get together, we can decide on how to move forward. And I also spoke to my mom, which is kind of wild, right? Like I told my mom, I said, listen, this is what happened, and I broke up with this guy. My mom, being African and also loving this man, oof. She was already in love with him by then, because I was like talking him up. I mean, he's a really great guy apart from that. After that, I don't think there's been anything that has been breakup worthy, and I don't think we've broken up like since.
We have not.
No, we have not. We only broke up once, and we are never breaking up again. But anyway, so I took 3 days. I spoke to my mom, my friends, and everybody was pretty much like echoing the same message, saying, no, give him a chance. It's, we understand, it's not that bad. And I was like, okay. And I think I reached out to him. I was like, hey. And he was like, hey, write a long message. I am sorry this happened. And I'm like, okay, come through. Let's go out for dinner and let's talk about this. And we did just that.
I just want to thank the therapist, Hope's mother, all of Hope's friends for being there for me when I was at my worst. I thank you. Thank you for being there and having my back. I appreciate it. Thank you.
They helped you out.
They
though.
did. I mean, all those people have gone to bat for me, especially Hope's mom.
Yeah.
Has been like, hey, are you sure?
Yeah.
I think he's amazing.
Yes,
So I really,
yes, yes,
I really appreciate everyone
Yeah.
for standing up for me and giving me the time to improve, because I made mistakes. I did make
True.
mistakes.
I mean, I made mistakes too, right?
Yeah, just not as significant.
Yes, because
Just not as with as harsh punishment behind it.
yeah, he's more gracious.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like it's important for me to say something that my therapist said was that I was just like running away from relationships, So I would just like look for, because even 2 years into our relationship, I was like seriously considering breaking up. And I would just always come up with like little reasons. I'd be like, oh, he's different from me, he doesn't understand me. Meanwhile, I didn't even say anything to him for him to start understanding what I'm thinking, or like my childhood, or how, not even my childhood, like my culture, because we're from different countries,
Right.
So we obviously have very different cultures and upbringings and perceptions of life.
Right.
So I've just come up with like reasons. So my therapist was like, Hope, it seems to me that you're always gonna find a reason for why you want to break up, because I have trouble giving away control, and being in a relationship with someone is almost like giving them control of my heart. So that's why I've struggled so much with just staying. I cannot say staying committed, because when I'm with you, like, I'm very committed, but staying on that path of this is really what I want, and this is what I want to do.
Right.
So that's it. But I cannot just solely blame it on you, like, oh, that was so terrible. It was also partly my fears of
Right.
self-sabotage,
Yeah.
in a way, just like, this is too good to be true, so this is not good.
Yeah. Let's say it probably wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
But it was eye-opening.
Yes.
So it gave us an opportunity to kind of like have our first fight a little bit.
Yes.
And like talk it out and see like, hey, what do we need to do to improve on this in the future?
Right.
And I think like knowing how each other feel in certain situations, in certain arguments is really important. After years and years of being together now, I think we've gotten a lot better of like, hey, we need to talk about this. Hey, we need space on this.
Yes.
Like how do we each argue and work through issues, And now we're way, way better about talking about it. Hope used to, let's just go to bed angry and deal with it 3 weeks from now, when it's a fight. And I used to be like, I need to talk about it right now. And I think we've both come closer to each other, Sometimes we don't talk about it right then like I want to, and we also don't push it off for a full week.
True.
Sometimes we sleep on it and then we talk about it later. I think it's good not to talk about it while you're angry, but it's also good not to talk about it or let it just go and then not talk about it,
And I also used to just ignore you. Like, I used to be quiet for a long time. So if something happened that I didn't approve of or that hurt my feelings, I shut down. It's not even ignoring, right? For me, I'd just not be there.
Hope's got something that I call baby voice. And when she's using baby voice, she's very upset. It'll be like, hey, Hope, would you like this? And when she does that, it's like, I did something. So, you got to start dissecting it. Give her space at that time. Don't try to talk about it right then. And tomorrow morning, when the baby voice is gone, we can chat about it and see what happens,
Baby.
I've never told her about the baby voice. She's finding out right here, so that's what I call it.
That is true, though. I do have the baby voice. Because I'm touched.
Yeah.
Like, what do people find energy to speak when they're touched? When I'm touched, I'm like,
But that's just how people are different. You know, like for me, when I'm touched, I just need to talk about it. I need to tell someone, or I shouldn't say need because I can wait a bit.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about it immediately. Like, hey, what did I do? Can I get better? You know, why are you upset? But sometimes you just need to like sit with it for a little bit, you know? It also can't be so easy that every time I make a mistake that I go, you know, sorry, we're done.
Yeah.
You know, so like sometimes I need to suffer a little bit. And
Right.
be like, what did I do? I need to think about this.
Yes.
You know. So, you know, we've taught each other a lot.
Yeah.
And we've come a lot closer to
and
each
we're
other.
also more secure
Yeah.
in terms of, you know,
Yeah, that's
she's
huge.
mad, but we're gonna talk through this.
Right, yeah.
Or he's mad, but we're gonna talk through this and we'll be fine.
That's a super good point. I feel like that's helped me deal with her being upset a lot more, is having security in our relationship. And I used to tell her this. I was like, hey, you know, I'm worried you're gonna leave. You
Yeah,
know?
all the time.
It's like, so it's like now I have to go to sleep thinking like, is she gonna break up with me tomorrow? You know? But now I'm more confident that like a mistake that I make is not gonna be so severe that it ends the relationship. So I can go, all right, I'll let her be upset tonight. I won't bring it up to make myself feel better. I'll deal with, you know, the struggle right now, and I know she's not gonna leave me tomorrow, and we'll have time to talk about it. So it's been, you know, just having confidence and security in each other makes arguing a lot easier.
Right. And we're gonna be 5 years in December.
5 years.
So we worked through this.
Yeah.
And we are all good. So that was our breakup story.
We're in love, guys. We're still in love, and we're
We
better
are.
than ever. Yeah,
We
we're
are.
better than
Yeah, we
ever.
understand each other more
Yeah.
now. We don't fight a lot.
Yeah.
We don't even fight as much.
Arguments really are like an opportunity to grow. I know
Yeah.
it sucks when it's happening, but you know, try to take the lessons and like be able to have like an adult, mature conversation at it. Nothing ever got gained by yelling at each other.
Yeah, he doesn't like being yelled at.
I don't do
And
that.
I used to yell. I said,
I will leave.
yeah,
I
he
was like,
leaves when I yell.
I'm not doing this right now, and I'll leave.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
If I don't yell anymore. But when I'd be like, okay, but I'm not yelling. I'm just South African. It's honestly, it's just like when I'm enthusiastic. I'm like, no, you know, we're going back and forth. And then he's like, I'm not going to do this right now. And then he just leaves the room. And I'm like, okay. You know how embarrassing that is? So I'm like, Then I get mad because he got mad at me
Right.
for leaving. But anyway, that's the story.
We were questioning talking about this because it's a
Yes.
little bit vulnerable, but
Yeah, it
we
is.
thought it was a good story to tell, so we hope people enjoyed it.
And thank you guys for watching my channel.
Thanks, guys.
We are already on 1,000 subscribers, so now it's road to 2,000.
Yeah, road to 2000. Be
Yeah.
there on our journey.
Yeah. Okay, good job.